Good evening. I will now call the May 13th, 2025 Bermuda Run Town Council meeting to order. Reminder for everyone to please silence your phones while I check mine. Do want to recognize we have two council members not here tonight, but we still represent a quorum. If you're able, please stand with me and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge of allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. It is the intent of the Town Council to make solemn the proceedings of this meeting and the business brought before the governing board, to offer the opportunity for a reflective moment of silence. Please join me in a moment of silence. Thank you. Number 4, Town of Bermuda Run Code of Ethics Statement. Mr. Williams.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Good evening, Council. Pursuant to North Carolina General Statutes 168-86 and 160D 109 and the Town of Bermuda Run Code of Ethics Policy adopted November 9, 2010, and further endorsed on August 9, 2022, I would ask each of you before you adopt the agenda if there's any actual potential or perceived conflicts of interest with respect to any matter on the proposed agenda, which will come before the Town Council for a vote at this meeting tonight. If so, please speak up and let the Council know at this time before the agenda is adopted. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Mr. Williams. Item number 5, adoption of the agenda. Mr. Meadwell.
Mr. Mayor, before you tonight, I would request that the agenda be amended to add another item. This item is for the approval of an agreement for our coordination of our events that we're having this summer. The town attorney and myself have a rough draft of that agreement. Would just like approval from the council to move forward with that. So, I'd like to add that to the agenda.
So the proposal would be to add item item 10E, approval for town manager and town attorney to finalize agreements for event planning. Any other revisions? If not, do I have a motion?
Motion to approve
As amended.
as amended.
I'll second.
Motion by Mr. Tedder, second by Schaefer. Council, show of hands of approval. 3-0. Thank you, Council. Item 6, approval of the April 8th Town Council meeting minutes. Council's had an opportunity to review the minutes. Are there any revisions, or do I have a motion to approve?
Motion to approve. I'll second.
Motion by Nelson, second by Schaefer. Show of hands. 3-0. Thank you. Item number 7, citizens' comments. Thank you. We have one person signed up, Ms. Vera Williamson. Mr. Williams, can you please explain our rules for citizens' comments?
Yes, thank you, Mr. Mayor. Each speaker should be allowed a total of 3 minutes to speak and shall immediately stop when his or her 3 minutes are up. Please state your name and address before speaking. Please address the council as a whole and not asking for a verbal exchange back and forth between the council. It's not the intent of the public comment period to require the council to answer any impromptu questions. No discussion between the speaker and the members of the audience. Mr. Mead will be the timekeeper and will inform you at the 30 seconds time remaining spot and when your time is up. Thank you.
Good evening, council members. My name is Vera Williamson. I'm at Haywood Drive. I wanted to speak tonight to the proposed text amendment that you will be considering in June that assigns the functions of the Board of Adjustment from the Planning Board to the Town Council. I'm sure that the council will do a fine job as Board of Adjustment, but this action does again narrow both the number and the perspective of decision makers in our community. As you know, the Planning Board is the only spot in Bermuda Run town government that gives any voice to those like me who live in the ETJ. The Planning Board, as it is now constituted, is also simply more representative of this community than the Town Council because it includes members from Kenderton. I understand your stated reasons for transferring these responsibilities to the Council, but I would respectfully urge you to also consider maintaining the scope of voices that vote on these decisions. I guess what I'm saying is there a way to do both? Since I began following this council, there has been what seems to me to be a continued narrowing of both the number and the perspective of decision makers. For example, when you had the opportunity last fall to appoint a qualified person from Kenderton to a vacancy on the town council, you chose not to do so. I continue to believe and will continue to encourage you, as pleasantly as I can, that a more representative government will build a healthier community. Since I think those who bring up problems, like me tonight, should also suggest solutions, here is a suggestion. Would it be possible to add the ETJ rep on the planning board and perhaps one additional planning board member, ideally someone from Kenderton, to join you as a council when you sit as the Board of Adjustment? Please consider this or other alternatives that will encourage representation from all parts of our community. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Moving on to item 8, 2025 Council Planning Session Update. So just a quick recap. In March, the council held its annual day-long planning session. We started off with a year in review, then moved into discussions around budget, financial planning. We actually did 2035 visioning first, then moved into budget planning, then talked about comprehensive plans, strategy, objectives, and even got into the details around strategy and tactics as it relates to those objectives. So the goal tonight, we do not have a speaker tonight, and that was intentional. The goal tonight is to provide a recap, and it won't be a day long, but it'll be a quick recap of all the sessions that we had in March to speak to each of those various subsections. We will not talk about the financial planning part because that actually has an agenda topic already on our meeting. But what I've asked council members to do and myself is we'll speak to each of these as well as Andrew and give a brief recap on that. So with that, we'll start off with 2024 year in review.
If I could just interrupt you, Mr. Mayor, we skipped over item 8A and 8B. I'm sorry. That would be the two.
Well, why did I do that? I have them in the wrong order. Okay, thank you.
Sorry.
All right, so what we're going to do instead is I'm going to read a couple of proclamations. That was the agenda, and that's the plan, and that's what we're going to do. Thank you for catching that. The first proclamation is Older Americans Month. So I'll read this. Whereas the town of Bermuda Run and Davie County includes a growing number of older Americans who contribute their time, wisdom, and experience to our community, and whereas communities benefit when people of all ages, abilities, and backgrounds have the opportunity to participate and live independently, and whereas the town of Bermuda Run recognizes the need to create a community that offers the services and supports older adults may need to make choices about how they age, and whereas the town of Bermuda Run can work to build an even better community for our older residents by not limiting our thinking about aging, exploring and combating stereotypes, emphasizing the many positive aspects of aging, inspiring older adults to push past traditional boundaries, and embracing our community's diversity. Now, therefore, we, the Bermuda Run Town Council do hereby proclaim May 2025 to be Older Americans Month. We urge every resident to celebrate our older citizens, to help create, an inclusive society, and accept the challenge of flexible thinking around aging. Thank you for allowing me to read that. Our second proclamation is Municipal Clerks Month, May 2025. Whereas the office of the municipal clerk, a time-honored and vital part of local government, exists throughout the world, and whereas the office of the municipal clerk is the oldest among public servants, and whereas the office of the municipal clerk provides the professional link between the citizens, the local governing bodies, and the agencies of government at all other levels, and whereas municipal clerks have pledged to be ever mindful of their neutrality and impartiality, rendering equal service to all, whereas the municipal clerk serves as the information center on functions of local government and community, whereas municipal clerks continually strive to improve the administration of the affairs of the office of the municipal clerk through participation in education, programs, seminars, workshops, and the annual meetings of the state, provincial, county, and international professional organizations. Whereas it is most appropriate that we recognize the accomplishments of the office of the municipal clerk. Now, I therefore, as Mike Brannon, Mayor of the Town of Bermuda Run, do recognize the month of May 2025 as Municipal Clerks Month and further extend appreciation to our municipal clerk, Cindy Poe, and to all municipal clerks for their vital services they perform and their exemplary dedication to the communities they represent. Thank you. Now back to your regularly scheduled programming. Now, 2024, year in review.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. And as we just discuss a few of the things that you, as an elected body, were able to accomplish in 2024, I can only just give each of you thanks for this significant body of work that you were able to accomplish. We'll just kind of highlight a few of the things that we did, but these are all items that you made decisions on in our council meetings. So the list is long, and as I think as we discussed at our planning session, it really amazed me that the number of things that you and this council have done. So thank you for your hard work for the citizens of Bermuda Run. So just kick it off, so we held our municipal elections where we had the mayor and 2 council seats were voted in. But with that, there were 2 new council members that were appointed to fill these vacancies that we had. The council approved a significant text amendment in regards to multifamily residential and maximum building height text amendment. There was a annexation of the what we call the Potts and Hall Walker properties. There was a contract for this continuing enhancement of our law enforcement services for our residents here in Bermuda Run, but not only our citizens, but Davie County citizens as well, to have these pieces of license plate readers located within our residential neighborhoods. Probably one of the biggest kind of projects that's in recent mind is, we just completed the construction of the flags at the Blue Heron Trail. Thank you to the Vision Committee for that. It was their dream, their idea to do this. I just had the opportunity just to be able to carry that and make it become real. You allowed us to hire a new position here at Town Hall. We've had 3 employees for seems like our existence. So thank you for that. You also approved the right-of-way acceptance to allow for the Blue Heron Trail Phase 2, which allowed the I-40 pedestrian bridge to be open. Another vital linkage connecting our neighborhoods that, as we'll see later on, and when we start talking about the comprehensive plan, it's all rooted in that comprehensive plan, and I just can't say enough about that. Another great celebration that we had was the town celebrated its 25th anniversary. Great event. It's hard to believe that, the town is so young, but we are 25 years old now, right? Probably one of the very first things that we did in February of 2024 was started the implementation of video recording and making available our meetings to the public. So what a great success that is. I think that the feedback that we've gotten from that is very positive. People like watching our meetings. We haven't quite got to the live version yet. We'll just kind of see how this goes, but the sky's the limit for us and being able to provide information to our residents. We were able to work with the Winston-Salem Metropolitan Planning Organization to get funding for the Blue Heron Trail Phases 3 and 4. Those two projects are in flight right now. We're beginning those early stages of design on those, so hopefully we'll have those actually started in construction sometime 26, late 25, early 26 to start those projects. We've also made significant progress in also meeting some of the same requests and desires from our residents with the development of the new Bermuda Run East pedestrian pathway. Phase 1 is scheduled to be let for construction late summer of this year. We also, as a concern from our residents over in Kennerton Residential, this board set aside in last year's budget a significant amount of money to address sidewalks in that neighborhood. If you recall, kind of the early approaches to that were just kind of Band-Aid approaches to that, but this council recognized the need and set aside that money, and it'll be a Phase 2 and Phase 3. I'm already working with the leadership there at the HOA to develop the Phase 2 project that will start in this new year's fiscal budget. Another task that you were had the foresight in looking at is looking at our gate operations and this task force to truly understand, how the gates are operating. And we're soon to have a RFP on these two proposals for that to carry us forward for the next several years. We've also looked at further enhancing our information to our residents in that we're updating our current web page. We're going to be utilizing Civic Plus to do that. We're hoping to have this launched at the 1st of June. So a new way for us to be able to get information out in a more enhanced web page for our residents. So a lot of things that we've just really just highlighted on, but this is just the surface of the things that you and this town continue to do for your residents. So thank you, sir.
Great, thank you. All right, moving to our Vision 2035.
Okay. Just want to say it's a team effort here. It's not all about us. It's about everybody. So vision. Vision is so important, and if done well, it offers a why behind what we do, and it guides our decisions and actions. And if done well, again, a vision is something which is a living thing, which we revisit and look at from a variety of perspectives. on a regular basis. So one of the things we did at the council is we devoted some time to considering a vision 10 years out. 10 years out may seem like a long time, but it really is a best practice. Our comprehensive plan, for example, specifies a 10-year time frame and 5-year implementation focus. 10 years can go by pretty quickly. We know none of us are probably going to be here, and then that sets the stage for the next 10 years, 50 years, and beyond. So as 25 years old as a town, I think we're very, very aware and need to be as aware as we can about that vision. What you see on this slide there is the vision from the current comprehensive plan, a community with a strong sense of purpose and an exceptional quality of life for all residents. And then in that word cloud, we asked what are some of the words coming into our session that popped up. And these are going to seem familiar, sound familiar. Communities, growth, connected, business. And I just want to mention business, I think, emerged there because, as was alluded to by our town manager, we've done a lot of work in terms of building out residential, and a focus would be and should be, how can we grow our businesses to support the quality of life for all residences? I think that's why that emerged in that word cloud. And then just want to give you kind of a lightning round of some of the themes that emerged as we talked through. Next slide, please. First of all, we talked about we need to acknowledge external factors. We know the next 10 years are going to bring things beyond our control, whether it is technology, AI, weather, whether it is what happens at the federal, state, and county levels. But we need to be aware of all that, but really focus and dial in on what we can control in order to be effective and serve all residents. Changing demographics, emerging leadership. There is a new generation out there. There is a lot of diversity in our town, and we certainly need to be aware of and listen to future generations and every perspective we possibly can. Just want to echo the citizens' comments that we heard earlier. This next one, in a similar vein, got a lot of our time and attention. How do we involve all members of the community? How do we best do outreach? How do we best educate people when we know that there are multiple perspectives, multiple ways to reach people, multiple sources that people get, and that's just something that we want to continue to challenge ourselves on, and we really, really spend a lot of time trying to figure out how to commit to that in the most effective way possible. Growth. No secret that we are a growing town and community. With that comes a need for modernization, infrastructure, and that all drives budgetary considerations over the next 10 years and beyond. A few more of them. Next slide, if you would. Business again. How can we attract, support businesses who will, again, develop and deliver on the quality of life for all our residents? I think this next one's important too. We have an opportunity and perhaps a responsibility to really recognize that we are members as a town of a much larger community. And I think we do have an opportunity, and we all agreed on this, to be an even greater influence in the region and beyond. And then recreation, community wellness, we know that's a common theme. It's going to be a greater priority moving forward, and environmental awareness, long-term sustainability. So as I mentioned, a vision is a living thing. It's a work in progress. And as we continue discussing our vision and refining it, I hope we really can, we want to hear from you and want to get people involved as best we can in order to make the vision be the living thing it is meant to be.
Great, thank you. All right, so now we'll pivot over to our comprehensive plan, strategy, and objective. If you recall, a year ago, we gave the same update in terms of statusing. So I've asked Ms. Schaefer to speak to these tonight, highlight the key ones that we want to update.
As you know, our comprehensive plan is the roadmap that we look at for our strategies and objectives, and they come from you. They've come from you since our first comprehensive plan when we had the community input. So we look to that and focus on what we've done in the past year to implement each of these objectives and what we continue to need to do. So I'm going to go through the implementations and the updates that we have that are important for us as we move forward in the coming year. Objective 1 in our comprehensive plan is to maintain and build upon established character of our community. The implementation action, 1.1, is to utilize the future land use map to guide growth and development that is compatible with the existing characteristics of the community, surrounding land uses, and available infrastructure and services. This was in its phase 2 and was drafted, a draft by the Planning Board in November of 2024. The legislature came through in December of 2024 with the adoption of SB 382. You've heard a lot about that. Mike has had the opportunity to speak to the community about 382 and its impacts that we face. Unfortunately, it has limited our ability to implement these changes at the time. So we will keep an ear on the legislature to see what happens with this bill, see what revisions may be made down the road, and move forward at that time. Next slide. 1.5, adoption of policies that preserve opportunities for establishing future public and private recreational amenities and resources. And we talked a little bit about this at our planning session, and really want to come up with a strong strategic recreation and pedestrian plan. Mr. Guthrie has taken the lead on that and will be working towards designing some strategies for our group. 1.7, continue to coordinate with Davie County on development surrounding the town and its ETJ to ensure the future land use and compatibility. The town is engaged with the state representatives and the North Carolina League of Municipalities to monitor changes to the ETJ being considered by the NC legislature. And I do believe that 382 spoke a bit in language to that. Objective 2 was to develop opportunities to connect neighborhoods to commercial centers, open spaces, and recreational amenities. Implementation action 2.1 is to continue to budget funds, continue to budget funds annually to complete priority pedestrian and bicycle facilities, greenways and trails that will provide connectivity within neighborhoods and links to key destinations throughout our town. This has been one of the strategies since the beginning of our first comprehensive plan, and it's wonderful to see where we've come, how far we've come with this. The pedestrian pathway design is complete. The resident information sessions with regard to the sidewalks were held in January. Phase 1 of this pathway is underway. Separately, the Blue Heron Trail Phase 2 I-40 pedestrian bridge is now open, and if you haven't taken a walk on the Blue Heron Bridge, you should do so. It's lovely. Engage 2.2 is to engage key stakeholders to develop more detailed plans to activate the use of the bikes and lakes and adjacent areas for recreational activities, including walking trails, playgrounds, and picnic areas. The town remains in contact with the Bonson Lake property owners and is monitoring their progress to implement the Bonson Lakes restoration project. And that's stay tuned as well. Objective 2, develop opportunities to connect neighborhoods to commercial centers, open spaces, and recreational amenities. Under 2.4, work closely with the hospital, sports-based businesses, and other key stakeholders to identify funding for trails, greenways, and other bicycle and pedestrian path facilities with the goal of encouraging more active and healthy lifestyle choices. The environmental assessment is complete in January of 2025, and design consultation is underway with NC Fusion and Rise Indoor Sports. Next slide. Okay. 3.1. Objective 3 is to maintain the high standards for building architecture and landscaping to enhance the sense of place. 3.1, continue to work closely with property owners of existing developments to update and retrofit outdated buildings and sites with improved facades and landscaping. Language in SB 382 limits us from requiring changes to non-conforming properties. And again, that's a stay tuned. We'll have to just wait on that and see where we come out. 3.2 is to continue to utilize building prototype designs to guide new infill and master plan developments, helping to ensure architectural compatibility and cohesiveness. Revisions to commercial building design standards were not included in the Phase 2 design work. There remains the opportunity to incorporate those changes within the ordinance, and hopefully we'll be able to do so at some time. Objective 3, maintain high standards for building, architecture, and landscaping to enhance the sense of place. 3.3 is to maintain attractive landscape signage at the intersection of 158 and 801 at the town's gateways. Wayfinding signage is being updated on an as-need basis. The community college signs, et cetera. And you'll see the wayfinding signs around town, and they'll be updated as new amenities come to be in our town. 3.4, engage the community in conversations regarding policies and regulations to help maintain unique areas of the town while unifying architectural elements such as signage, landscaping, pedestrian connections, vehicular connections, and geographic nomenclature. A gate operations task force was formed with gate resident representatives in May of 2024. This work has led to the town creating 2 RFPs for the contracted gate services. Comprehensive plan strategies for Objective 4. Establish a distinctive brand that identifies the town of Bermuda Run as a unique entity. Refine the town's branding and marketing so that it is readily identifiable to the town of Bermuda Run. The town chose not to implement the CBR task group. Any branding or marketing initiatives will now be led by the town council and staff. Objective 4, establish a distinctive brand that identifies the town of Bermuda Run as a unique entity. Continue to work with the United States Postal Service District Manager to establish a primary or satellite postal location within the town of Bermuda Run to better serve the population that is concentrated in eastern Davie County. 325. In 2024, the town worked with the United States Postal Service and Senator Tillis's office to pursue postal solutions for the town. In December 2024, the USPS notified the town that they see no compelling reason for a new postal facility at this time. And I know Mayor Brannan has spoken to this on a number of occasions. Objective 5 is to encourage the development of commercial and office establishments, medical services, visitor designations, and sports tourism opportunities. 5.3, continue to support Atrium Health Wake Forest Baptist to develop the River Hill Commons outparcels with medical facilities supporting uses in accordance with the approved development agreement. The town continues to periodically engage with Davie Medical Center to understand their growth and plans. 5.4 is to work with Bermuda Run Tourism Development Authority to support and promote a wide variety of events, meetings, sports tourism, viticulture offerings, and medical tourism to attract visitors that will patronize local businesses. The town continues to further relationships with North Carolina Fusion, Rise Indoor Sports, and Davie Medical Center, plus new residential growth has resulted in more interest in business tourism opportunities. 5.5 is to continue to evaluate the opportunities to develop a hotel to expand overnight lodging capacity for potential visitors. Discussions on a new hotel continues. Objective 6 is to sustain a safe, secure, and well-maintained community. Continue to collaborate with the Davie County Sheriff to ensure that enhanced safety patrols and traffic enhancement benchmarks are enforcement. 325, the town partnered with the Davie County Sheriff's Office to fund an enhanced law enforcement managed camera network. Additionally, a new community officer has been hired for the Davie County Sheriff's Office for Bermuda Run. 6.2, maintain a budgetary emphasis on the maintenance of streets and sidewalks for immediate repair need using the established paving and maintenance schedule to ensure long-term upkeep. In 2024, the town completed its annual road maintenance projects. Road maintenance costs continue to increase, which places budgetary pressures on the town. Additionally, significant progress was made with the Kinderton Village and Bermuda Run West sidewalk repair work. Objective 6 is to sustain a safe, secure, and well-maintained community. Ensure that the town's code of ordinances is proactively enforced. Throughout 2024, there have been multiple issues identified and resolved by code enforcement. This will be an ongoing process to ensure our ordinances are being followed. 6.4 is to encourage additional transportation, stormwater, annexation, and other similar studies that impact analysis as needed during the development review process. The town is working to implement 2 stormwater remediation projects and continues to work with NCDOT to seek opportunities for NC 801 and US 158 improvements. Objective 7, expand upon the town's supported festivals, events, and community engagement opportunities. Explore opportunities to improve the town's green capacity to host a wide range of festivals and community events. Although this task group was not formed, the town had many town green events in 2024, including concerts, food truck Fridays, Christmas, and a car show. Interested in town events continues and will grow in 2025. .3, continue to strengthen the town's communications through monthly newsletters, quarterly town hall meetings, press releases, website improvements, and enhanced use of social media. A redesign of the town's website is underway with a go-live expected in the April-May timeframe. The town continues to use recorded council meetings, monthly town emails, and other social media avenues for communication. Objective 8, advocate for road capacity and traffic flow improvements while providing a safe, efficient, well-maintained, multimodal transportation network, including pedestrian and bicycle amenities. Maintain coordination with NC Department of Transportation and the Winston-Salem Metropolitan Planning Organization to implement the adopted comprehensive transportation plan and modifications for preferred cross-sections of Highway 158 and 801. Although the infrastructure impacts to western North Carolina has resulted in some NCDOT priority changes, the town has secured funding for additional pedestrian pathways and commitment from NCDOT to make further intersection improvements at US 158 and 801. And the mayor has spoken to the pedestrian pathways at the intersection to the hospital, which will be exciting, to say the least. 8.2, continuing to work with NCDOT at Exit 180 on enhanced landscaping and other aesthetic improvements for the I-40 and NC Highway 801 interchange. In October, NCDOT completed the I-40 Exit 180 and the pedestrian bridge landscaping. 8.4, to work with NCDOT property owners and developers to establish a southwest connector road between US 158 and NC 801 South through the mixed-use future land use classification area of the southwest intersection. This has been, I can speak to, this has been on the list since the very first comprehensive plans, and one of the first real important issues that we looked at. With the development of the townhomes of Bermuda Run, the first half of the connector is under construction. The town continues to await future development opportunities in this area to help complete this road segment. And boy, will that boulevard be a wonderful addition to our town. 8.5, as needed, the town should independently engage or require property owners or developers to hire transportation experts to analyze traffic impacts, bicycle and pedestrian connectivity, and analyze traffic impacts. Bicycle and pedestrian connectivity and related transportation matters when evaluating development proposals and rezoning requests. Mandatory traffic studies were not implemented in the draft version of Phase 2. However, all recent residential developments have leveraged traffic studies as a part of their design. Objective 8.6, apply for NCDOT bicycle and pedestrian planning grant to fund the development of a plan with comprehensive strategy for expanding bicycle and pedestrian opportunities throughout the community, and focus on facilities and programs, policies, and design guidelines that encourage safe walking and bicycling. In July 2024, the town received notification that both of these pathways were approved for funding with 20% town match by the NCDOT. The town is now working to begin the project planning for these pathways.
Thank you for reading through that. We have 40 unique strategies and objectives that were created in our comprehensive plan. Christie just read 25 updates to those 40. Several of the others have updates, but we wanted to highlight those 25. I want to bring that to your attention because, as Christie mentioned at the beginning, the process started with a survey, getting feedback from the community, from the residents, from businesses, and those that live beyond the town, taking that feedback, distilling that into strategies and objectives. To be specific, 40 strategies and objectives. What Christie just read to you is the one-year recap from a year ago on what's happened in this past year. What I'm going to do very briefly is just set some context for how do we do those updates? How do we get from May of 2024 to May of 25 and May of 25 to May of 26? Well, the answer is I've tried and working with Andrew on this and share it with the council, created a list of all of our strategic and tactical projects. And so they're sorted by, on the left, S meaning strategic. The next pages will show T for tactical. And then the effort being large, medium, and small. That's a bit subjective, but the point being is it larger than a bread box? Is it something that's going to take us many, many months to accomplish? Is it something we can accomplish more quickly? We then create themes. So whether it's pedestrian themes, town service themes, et cetera, and each of those then have tasks. Mr. Meadwell and I meet every Monday morning for several hours, and we walk through many of these to discuss where are we with the progress on these. We also share updates and receive updates from those who are leading some of these initiatives within the council or within staff. So I won't read this list, but I'll just highlight a couple of these just to tie it back to what Christie described and what I described in terms of the comprehensive plan. So for example, the first one, implement the 2 pedestrian path projects. The Blue Heron Trail Phase 3, which takes you from Steelman up to 801, as well as the sidewalk from essentially McDonald's 158 and 801 up to the Davie Medical Center. We now have this project, we are tracking this project, and we are continuing to get updates on this project. That matters because this time next year, when some group of us are sitting up here in front of you and provide a May 2026 update, it is the actions we take week in and week out that get us to that update. Otherwise, as former Mayor Rick Cross would say, these things don't move on their own. It takes energy, it takes effort. We're a small town. We have a small number of staff. We have council who are prepared to lean in and help drive some of these initiatives. So I thought it was important tonight to help draw that line of connection from starting with the comprehensive plan, strategies and objectives, and then ultimately the actual work that we do in terms of current projects. With that, thank you for allowing us to provide that update to all of you. I know it was a bit of a word salad here working through all this, but it matters in trying to draw that connection to what you told us, what we said we were going to do, and what we're doing to accomplish those things. So thank you for allowing us to do that. I think I had that in the right order now, right? Okay.
Got
I
it.
just want to make sure. All right, now, item number 10, proposed action items. 10A, text amendment TA 2025001, amendment Chapter 11, Administration 11.2, the boards and Board of Adjustments. Mr. Meadwell.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Before you is a request to call for the public hearing regarding this text amendment TA 2025-001. This is an amendment to Chapter 11, Administration 11.2, the boards and the Board of Adjustment. As we've talked about, this was part of a text amendment that was proposed to be teed up in the fall of last year. Some circumstances with the legislature prevented that. We've waited some time. We've brought it back. The planning board did hear this, did make a recommendation for approval to send to council to call for the public hearing. So this is what staff is asking you, is to call, set that public hearing date to be presented on June 10th for that public hearing.
Thank you. Any questions for Mr. Meadwell? If no, I'll entertain a motion.
Motion. Good.
Motion by Nelson, second by Tedder.
Yeah.
Show of hands. 3-0. Thank you, council. Item 10B, budget amendment, general fund acceptance from Davie Community Foundation, sorry. Mr. Meadwell.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Before you tonight is a general fund budget amendment to accept funds from the Davie County Community Foundation in the amount of $12,823.27, and to expend that revenue for the 2005 flag at Bermuda Blue Heron Trail flag project. So this will be that last remaining amount of money that council agreed that we would use for the construction and the finalization of the flag project.
Any questions for Mr. Meadwell?
None.
Entertain a motion.
I'll move.
Second.
Motion by Schaefer, second by Nelson. Show of hands. 3-0. Thank you, council. Item C, letter of support, general election for Bermuda Run residents at Town Hall.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. We briefly discussed this at our last agenda meeting, and working with the Board of Elections to have not only early voting here, but also to have the general election voting to occur here, requires that we send a letter requesting such action to be considered by the Board of Elections. So what staff is asking is for your blessing to town manager and town attorney to draft that letter and send it to the Board of Elections to request that action.
Maybe just to add a little bit more commentary around that. So many people in the county in early voting come to Bermuda Run to vote. It's among the highest in terms of volume of registered voters who come here during early voting. And the question really was raised quite some time ago, and we started these conversations, which was if early voting ends on a Saturday, but the general elections just a couple of days later, you have all of your election signs, you have everyone knowing to come here, it just raised the question, would this not be an ideal opportunity for us to consider talking with the Board of Elections to see whether they'd be willing to consider that, given that we do, and I think Cindy would attest to this, we have a fair number of folks on Election Day who come here thinking that this is where they should vote. And so this really kind of helps line up things more logically for folks. And I would argue the vast number of folks who are coming to vote on Election Day oftentimes are coming here or near here to get on 40 to go on into Winston-Salem to work. And so this becomes a little bit more on their logical path. So these conversations were held, and so it's just an opportunity to see whether the council would be okay with us sending that letter of support. So with that, I'll open it up to any conversation with council or a motion.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Yeah.
Motion by Tedder, second by Nelson. Show of hands approval. 3-0. Thank you. Item D, Town Manager's 2025-26 proposed budget. Mr. Meadwell.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. It is my pleasure to present the fiscal year 2025-2026 proposed budget for the town of Bermuda Run to you and to town council. The recommended fiscal year budget for the town of Bermuda Run for all three funds will be $4,875,950,000, which the general fund will make up $3,003,900. I am proposing that the tax rate remain at 15 cents per $100 of value. We all understand that this was a reevaluation year, and that revenue neutral rate equates to 13.5 cents of $100 of value. This budget is balanced and prepared in accordance with the Local Government Budget and Fiscal Control Act with a discretionary fund balance appropriation of $190,000. Now, I will preface this is a proposed budget. This is based on feedback that I heard from council at our planning session, as well as looking at what our forecasting is in terms of revenues from our other outside type agencies, as well as what we are seeing as part of our future expenses moving forward in the fiscal year. As I had mentioned, the town operates three separate funds, the general fund, the gate fund, and the utility fund. As I'd already mentioned, the general fund is at $3,003,900,000. The gate fund, this is a little tricky. We are proposing this at $1,077,100. And the utility fund is still somewhat stable at $794,950. Just to kind of talk a little bit more about how our general fund revenues, we will receive approximately $1.2 million from ad valorem taxes. That is your property tax. Sales tax is projected to be at $460,000. ABC revenue at $271,000. POW bill, we're still at around $150,000. Vehicle tax, $100,000, and our intergovernmental is at $515,000, and then just miscellaneous revenues at $304,000. And if we look at our budget as part of a percentage of the total budget, the ad valorem tax only makes up 40% of all revenues that the town receives. And we kind of break that down. Sales tax accounts for 15.3%, ABC is 9%, intergovernmental is 17%, and just our miscellaneous is at 10%. So I think sometimes a lot of people have this misnomer that the ad valorem is the biggest generator of revenue for the town. It's not, and it's if you look back over the last several years, we've kind of maintained that those revenues from the ad valorem amount have kind of stayed flat through there. Some ups and downs, but for the most part, remaining at that 40% plateau level there. Expenses, general government, we're proposing that $863,000 and $478,000 be spent as part of general government. This encompasses salaries, benefits, just regular expenses that take to fund a town. Our community services is at almost $1.2 million. Community services is our contract with Republic for our solid waste recycling. It's our landscaping leaf pickup. It's the community officer. It's community events, things of those things that we provide to the community. And then transportation is just slightly under $1 million at $973,000. As we talked about last year and briefly discussed today, with our paving contract that we will be putting out to bid, once again, those costs have not decreased. So we're really trying to anticipate what those future costs are going to be and trying to get as much mileage as possible, or I shouldn't even say mileage, as much linear foot of paving to be done. As the board knows, we only paved a little bit over 2 miles last year of street paving. Again, as we look at how these expenses have tracked over the years, we've still stayed in our general government at 28, almost 29%. Community services, you see a slight spike at almost 39%, and then you see our transportation kind of leveling off at 32.4%. Now, I will say that in fiscal year 22-23, you've seen a higher spike there, but we had 2 streets that we took out of fund balance, Allgood and Winmock, to pay for those. So that's where you see those 2 big spikes there. As I mentioned earlier about the gate fund, we are projecting that these costs, or the staffing for gate fund expenditures, will be at $725,000. Maintenance of those facilities at $104,000, and the administration at $248,000. We briefly touched on the town is in the process of putting RFPs out for the 2 different models. One, the staffing model, which we currently have in place. the second is this more kind of all-inclusive, which would include not only staffing, the administration, and the maintenance of that. We did not receive the sufficient number of bids for either RFP, so we've had to put those out for rebid. We're expecting those bids to be received at the end of next week, which will allow us to make an assessment of which method is the preferred method, and I'll make a presentation to town council on that and start those, choosing a vendor and starting those contract negotiations. So when we look at this, we're having to kind of set a high water mark here on this anticipated gate fee, which is proposed at $856 per assessed parcel in Bermuda Run and Bermuda Run West. As these RFPs come in, we'll have a better understanding and an idea of what that fee is going to be. As I mentioned, this is a proposed budget. I think the one thing that we don't want to do is show a lower number, adopt a budget, tax bills go out, and then we have to come back and say, hey, you have to pay this now too. When we look at people that have escrow accounts and things like, it really starts to have an impact on that. So we would rather avoid that situation. And I think even if we have to go with this higher number, there's always a way to offset that in next year's budget to account for that cost. So the other is that we've worked in part with the village to pay for 32 gate fees. So we're working through that funding agreement with them, similar to what the club pays. There's a funding agreement with the club. They pay a certain amount. So this is a good first step in trying to capture all those individuals that utilize the gates and who reside here inside the gated communities. Utility fund, we're really thinking that this will still remain fairly flat. We have a funding agreement with Davie County Utilities on knowing what these known rates are. These rates are from Davie County Utilities that we send to or charge to our residents. But I think with some of the things that we've done, if you recall, we had a significant amount of infiltration into our sewer system that really caused some spikes in what we were paying. We think we have those addressed, so we're really seeing that that these rates should remain the same or fairly flat. With our ultimate goal is that we want to turn this system over to Davie County Utilities, and this is some of the work that we're doing in making these repairs gets us to that point at some point to turn this over to Davie County Utilities. So just some assumptions. We're still trying to solidify some quotes. We've briefed council on this. Our current staff health benefits were with the North Carolina League of Municipalities. They chose not to continue that type service for several hundred municipalities. So we're having to go out onto the open market on that. The league is helping assist us in that. So we're still waiting for those costs to come in. We touched on the landscaping requirements that we will have at the interchange of Interstate I-40 and 801. We'll be putting out a new RFP for landscaping services too later in this fiscal year. So we're just trying to accommodate for what we think those costs will be as well. Also included in this budget is those matching funds for the DOT grants for the Blue Heron Trail Phase 3 and the NC 801 sidewalk project. These were agreed upon to be funded at that 20% by council when we applied for them. So this accounts for that. But one thing too to bring council's eyes to too is that as part of GASB 101, there's a new change into how staff compensation in terms of sick time. In previous years, we were not required to show that as a liability. So with this new ruling, we will have to now show that as a liability as against our expenses. So there will be an audit done, which we'll have to pay for to do this. We're working with the League of Municipalities on this as well to do this. So we'll have that, or what that actually is, hopefully here in the next couple of months. But as well as also the gate fund, if we can get through this bidding process, we'll have a stronger idea of what that fund will be. But right now, it is being proposed at that $856. So with that, I would request that the council hold its public hearing for the budget at your June 10th meeting. Staff has already reached out to council, as we've done in years past, scheduling when the real work on the budget actually begins, these one-on-one sessions to go through these budgets. So I know several of you have already made appointments with staff to go through this, in which, if you recall, line item by line item, we go through and show where we're spending money, why we're having to do this, and you know, the justification of these. So staff looks forward to that, and hoping to have a adopted budget in June. So with that, Mr. Mayor, I'll turn it over to you to set that public hearing date.
Great, thank you for that recap. As Andrew pointed out, this is this point in time in the year, I will say, this is one of the most important foundational, fundamental roles that the council serves, is establishing that budget. I can assure you that I've witnessed staff over the last couple of months, specifically Dora and Andrew and Charlie, working feverishly to work through this process. Again, it's not like we have a staff of 20 people pulling together all these. I've had organizations that were more people than this room had, just working in accounting and managing through this, and we've got precious few that do that. So this is a very heavy lift for staff each year. And as Andrew pointed out, excuse me, the opportunity is there for council, now that the council has seen these numbers, to go into the weeds and understand and ask questions and work between now and that June meeting to truly understand and, frankly, be able to answer questions if asked of the community. You know, what's this for? Why we do this? Why we do that? That's a fundamental part of serving on the council. So hopefully we'll have 100% of the council be able to sign up here in the next several days to do that deep dive and review this, and then be in a good position, hopefully for the June, assuming council approves that public hearing. Again, the point of tonight really is just simply to set the public hearing, not necessarily to work through the details of those numbers. That is done offline, and then everyone comes back together hopefully in June, and we'll have a public hearing. People will have an opportunity to express their views as they should, and then council ultimately has the decision to make around that budget. So with that, any questions for Mr. Meadwell before we open it up for a motion? No? Then do I have a motion?
Motion to approve.
Motion by Mr. Tedder,
I'll second that motion.
second by Ms. Schaefer. Raise your hands. 3-0. It's not terribly complicated when you have 3 people and 2 people make a motion. It's just one person that has to make that final decision. So anyway. All right, and then we have a new item that was added to our agenda, and that item is E, which is the approval for the town manager and town attorney to finalize the agreement for event planning. So, Mr. Meadwell, turn it over to you.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. As we've discussed in our previous agenda meetings and at our council meetings, for town events this year, we, we've kind of moved away from utilizing the Davie County Arts Council to coordinate, plan these town events. So I have found a vendor who is willing to offer their services at no incremental cost to the town. It's really more of a partnership with this group to do so. We have at least 4 Food Truck Fridays and 2 full events planned for this. I need council's approval for town attorney and myself to execute these documents for this vendor to be able to come in and provide this at no cost to the town to coordinate this. So if the town attorney has that agreement, we've had some initial review and comments on that. So, but in terms of just trying to get notification out, the marketing, which this firm will also take care of, we need to get this agreement finalized sooner than later. So I'll turn it back over to you, Mr. Mayor.
Great, thank you. Any questions?
No exposure to the town? No exposure to the town?
No. Outside of just things that we normally do for events.
Trash, porta pots, et
Yeah.
cetera, the basic,
Basic
but
stuff.
everything else is being managed by
They would be
this
managed by
other party, so. You have anything
No
else?
questions?
You have a motion?
Motion approved.
Motion. Nelson,
Second.
second by Tedder. Show of hands of approval. 3-0. Thank you, council. Okay, we're in the home stretch, folks. Item number 11, town manager report and comments.
A lot to cover tonight. I'm done. So thank you.
Okay.
Said enough.
Okay. Well, unfortunately, this is the mayor comment section, and you know that I'm just not going to let this slide, so somebody has to fill the air, okay? So, no, I'll try to be brief, which is always, you're never brief once you say that, just saying. First of all, shout out to Smith Grove and Advance Fire Departments. Thank you guys for being here, and always appreciate Vice Chair of our commissioners, Benita Finney, what a huge advocate for our town. Thank you again for participating in our flag raising. That was awesome. Ms. Finney's a rock star, so just saying. Thank you all for attending tonight. Ms. Vera, thank you for speaking tonight as well. Just a real quick recap, flags at the Blue Heron Trail. That was a wonderful ceremony. It was a slight dose of light rain, but it was well attended. Thank you to both the Clemens Courier as well as to the Davie Enterprise for outstanding write-ups on that. It was great to read that, and it's, again, as Mr. Jim Bice noted in his article, this is the 3rd ribbon-cutting event we've had related to the Blue Heron Trail. None of us here can take full credit for those ribbon cuttings. Those were set in motion before many of us were sitting on this dais, but that's part of this process, is to continue to pass that torch to the next and next and next, and eventually we have these ribbon cuttings. Someone's able to ribbon cut. How about that? So moving on, I did have the opportunity again a couple of weeks ago for the Davie Respect Initiative. We had a couple of students that I was honored to be able to present them with awards and checks on behalf of the Davie Respect Initiative. So I want to congratulate Emma Martin and Sean Lane for their projects, and I also want to recognize Davie Respect for what they do in continuing to highlight the good things that happen in our county. What a great group of folks that do that. Also want to give a shout out to the Davie Medical Center. Some of you may be aware of this, but again this year Davie Medical Center was recognized as an outstanding hospital, not just in Davie County, not just in the Triad, not just in North Carolina, but they were noted as being the seven out of all of the small community hospitals in the United States. So we are blessed to have them a part of this community, a part of this county and this region. So kudos to them. Those awards do not happen by accident. They happen by a lot of dedication, a lot of solid staff and great leadership over there. And it's an honor and pleasure to have them considered to be neighbors of our town. So congratulations to them. Lastly, next month, I've invited Sheriff Hartman to come speak and give his annual law enforcement update. Many of you know that each year we bring Sheriff Hartman in. He provides us data, statistics, et cetera, and answers questions from the council. He's agreed to do that for our June meeting, so please come join us for that. It'll also be jam-packed because we've got a lot of public hearing items as well, but I think a lot of folks in our community look forward each year to hearing from Sheriff Hartman and the updates and the stats around the work that his team does in keeping all of us safe. So please join us on that. With that, do we have any closing comments by council?
I would just like to say, thank you, Vera, for your comments, but I would say, as June approaches, November's around the corner. There will be 3 seats. Community representation is very important. There will be 3 seats available for election this November, if my memory serves. Is that correct, Mr. Mayor?
Candidate in mid-July, anyone wishing to be considered a candidate for the November election can, I believe it's July 7th, don't quote the exact date, but I believe it's 7th through the 18th. Anyone who's a registered voter who lives in the town of Bermuda Run is eligible to run, and that, as you may recall, we no longer have a primary, so regardless of the number of people who submit for candidacy, there will be a single general election that occurs in the November timeframe.
Good.
Anything else? Do we have a motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn.
Do we have a second?
Second. I was kidding.
Go ahead, take it on. That's fine.
With a show of hands, all those in favor, 3-0. Thank you, everyone. We are adjourned.
He raised both hands.